Yeah, the last journey.
Yeah, the last journey. It's even hard to know where to begin. But one thing I can say is that it's the journey that I remember the clearest, that I feel able to feel some kind of continuity, not timeline, because time doesn't mean anything, but some kind of continuity in the journey. And it was completely unexpected.
Okay, hold up. Let's stop on unexpected, because I guess for the viewers out there, they're like, oh, okay, what do you mean? So it's been a while since we had since we took a journey. For y'all that all following and on the channel and stuff that saw the Never Again video, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then go ahead and watch that first. It's titled Never Again. But at that time, I was on high dosage. We both were doing high dosages for ourselves, right? Mine was...
You went to 18.
You keep saying 18, but no, I don't think it was 18. Didn't we go through this before?
We did go through it before, and we thought it was 14, and then in the end,
I thought it was 20.
No, you aimed for 20,
I aimed
and when
for
you
20.
reached 18, you couldn't swallow anymore.
Okay, all right. So I was on 18 grams of Cambodia, and yeah, Never Again, and you was on 10. I think you were on 10. You know, that's a high. That's a extreme high for both of us, really and truly.
Yeah.
We didn't just jump there, but so whatever.
That was then.
That was then. That happened, and then locked off from it. But it's deep. So that was probably about I don't know, 2.5 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, early March. That's when it was.
So it's like I haven't even wanted to go in at that time. You know, it was like it was such a intense place that I never wanted to go again. But it's like after that, it was like definitely that reaching that red zone, right? Like when you're turning the volume all the way up real quick, like you like your music, you like listening to your music, but do you want to listen to your music on max where you can't understand? It's like
you want to hear it,
right?
You don't want to be muffled by overwhelming sounds, right?
So that was I think going to that max and then pulling out and having all the time like not going in. There was continual revelations, continual shifts, you know, in how I perceive things, how I relate to things. Do you know what I mean? My understanding of things, just even my understanding of the journey of shrooms, the psilocybin journey. You know, so we're on and on many levels. You know, as far as like growing our own food on all levels. You know what I mean? Allotment and just growing our own food. That's what it's about, really and truly. So when you are growing your own food, it's like you have a complete different relationship with the shroom, you know. I think that being said, it was a complete shift, and now I understood how to work with it. And I think I was approaching it from just an incorrect way, like just really I guess a skewed perspective on it, you know, very limited. But now I do give thanks for going through all that, because it lets me see what's necessary, really and truly, and it also made me value the life that I do have, you know, instead of continuously searching for the beyond. I'm still interested, and I'll be interested in beyond, but, you know, I do value this life now. You know what I mean? And yeah, when you just look at your previous self and how you approach things, I'm like, I could really see how it could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
The way that I was going about it, you know what I mean? It's not necessary. It's not necessary at all, you know, to go on it on that level. So backstepping completely. Now we're dealing with a new strain, you know. So the strain is Treasure Coast. I think it's a strain from Florida. So Treasure Coast is like, first of all, it's a very slow colonizer.
Yeah.
You know, really
Yeah,
slow.
colonizer.
Where? Go ahead.
It's a slow colonizer, and it seems like from that first batch that we had, they were just like really little dwarf concentrated mushrooms. And that's what was different about it. They were not tall and skinny and stringy, or not at all. They were just like little.
They're like
and firm.
They're like dwarf
Yeah.
dwarf shrooms compared
Yeah.
to other things that we were on, you know. But like, yeah, on the colonizer, like, even just seeing it on Agar, it growed. It took its time. It really took its time. Like Cambodia was fierce. It was like Cambodia didn't want to waste no time. It was just trying to take over everything. This one is just really slow. You know, see the mycelium growing and everything is just like really slow, like a 3 week to a month process where you feel like, yo, nothing's happening. I'm gonna toss this out. But it's like, it really allows you to develop patience. Do you know what I mean? We're like, nah, I'm gonna see this through. I'm gonna see this through. But now, so we used to go in like, I guess my thing was, I think maybe 5 or 6 was like that's like my standard. I'm like, not really going any lower than that. You know what I mean? Anything lower than that is
5 or
microdosing.
6.
5
What do
or
you mean,
6
grams
5 or 6 grams
of dried weight?
Yeah, 5 or 6 grams of dried weight. You know, yo, you know we're gonna get into all that dried shit. Let me write that down real quick. Hold on. Yeah, 5 or 6 dry grams was a regular flex. I guess just a baseline to start, but then, you know, 8, 10, 12, whatever the case. But now, starting from square one, you know what I mean? I don't need to hold myself a prisoner to my experiences of yesterday. So, you know, all the things that I thought I knew, I threw out altogether approaching this trip. You know what I mean? As far as where I was trying to reach my intentions and purpose and all that type of stuff, you know. And it was like, nah, let's just start from square one. So I think we had probably took, was the equivalent of, I had a gram.
Yeah. But we had them wet weight.
Wet weight, okay.
So that's very different from dry weight, because obviously there's all the water content still. And so we went along with a ratio that seems to be a general what's the word? Like
I guess it's a general
guideline.
Psilocybin shroom guideline when it comes to consumption of the shrooms. So it's like 100 it's basically 10 to 1.
Yeah, 10 to 1.
It's 10 to 1. So 100 grams wet weight of shrooms is equal to 10 grams of dried, right? So that's getting it to what they call cracker dried, right? I know it's going to be different for everyone, but, you know, yeah, I probably dried, you know, 10, 11 hours. So it is dry. You could snap it, literally, you know, because the mushrooms they're just mainly water. So we're going by that on that baseline, you know. So to add on what she was talking about, the wet, yeah, it's a very different on wet. I think wet is the way forward.
Yeah.
Before on our last high dosage, we were already just dealing with more wet. We were doing half dry, half wet. In my head, it was like, okay, cool, that makes a lot of sense. the wet ones got the enzymes, they're more life, they're gonna, give you those enzymes to go ahead and break down the dry ones, right? We have to hydrate them to utilize them anyway. But yeah, when it was half wet, half dry, it was like way better than the dry for me. So definitely experiment with that. So, but this one, it was just straight wet, So I had equivalent to 1 gram dried, but the wet weight was like,
It was probably, we worked it out, it was
like
probably around
11,
around 10, 11,
10,
because
11
of what
wet
was
weight.
left over from the dosage that we thought you were going to go for.
Right. I originally was going to go for like 2.5 dry, even though I didn't take it dry, 2.5 dry.
So that was the equivalent of roughly 25 grams of wet weight.
Right. So when we say wet weight, still, when we're talking about wet weight, it's not like, oh, it's a whole abundance. Nah, it's probably amount like less than half my fist. But you know what? Now, I'm starting to take the Treasure Coast, right? So, how am I taking them? Just straight as is. You know what I mean? They're fresh. They've been picked recently. You know what I mean? So they're fresh as can be, and I'm not putting anything with it. Just putting them in my mouth, and I'm eating them. So I think I got probably about to, I don't know, the third shroom, and it's just like that big. And I would just pace myself this time taking them. Not pacing myself like, so I had the 3 shrooms probably just in the space of, under 5 minutes. But already after those 3, I was feeling particular sensations. Now, am I highly sensitive to these things? Yes, I would say I am. You know what I mean? Did the last trip that I do, made me even more? Probably hell yeah. Do you know what I mean? Hell yeah.
Well, we were talking about, maybe that now that you've experienced the high dosage and it exposed whatever it wanted to expose, now you've become maybe more sensitive to it, as in like now you can get like, you found a shortcut by consuming just a little. It's like there's something already activated that allows you to just get there quicker.
Yeah, I'm a psilocybin conduit, basically. You know what I mean? Because I went there already. Like from just that, I didn't even take the whole thing. I ended up taking a few more, but I didn't take everything that I intended to.
Yeah.
I took what was equivalent to 10 grams wet weight, 1 gram dried. That's what I ended up taking, even though I had the rest on tap. But that's what I ended up taking, and I'm telling you that hit me like I took 6-7 grams of Cambodia dried. It hit me like that. Like I'm gonna start putting a scale out. Every time you hear me talk about a scale, I'm gonna give it a rating, right? So like 1 through 10 on level of intensity. When it comes to Cambodia, I would say if you were taking these things, it's probably, if you're taking Cambodia, probably hit, if you're taking 1 or 2, that's probably like, that probably anywhere under 5.
Under 5.
Way under 5. If you start getting to like the 4 or 5 grams, I'll say that's about a 6 of intensity. Where I went to the 18, that's fucking,
it was above 10.
That's 22. I'm scared from 1 to 10. That was 22. So Cambodia gets intense, but you could eat a good amount of them. Even like going to like 10 grams. Even 10 grams of Cambodia was still like on an intensity level of maybe about 7, 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was wild, but it was still doable. But on this Treasure Coast, very different thing. Don't feel like, or don't think that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna follow the same gram dosage that I normally do on a different strain. No, it's a different strain. Definitely Definitely be different with it.
Definitely,
Approach it differently.
definitely.
I feel that you should even approach each journey differently, even if it's the same strain. You know what I mean? Because we're not all clear with the different variables and stuff that affect or heighten the journey. You know what I mean? What's going on in you? You know, whatever on a spiritual level, your mental state. You know, whether consumption, your digestion, all those things have a factor to play. So definitely always approach each journey like it's your first. You know what I mean? That's cool with it. But especially a different strain, without doubt, start from square one. So Cambodia, on level of intensity, for just taking 1 gram, for me, I'll put it on a 5. I'll put it on a 5 level of intensity. You know, she took equivalent of 2 this time, or 2.5.
2.5.
2.5.
Because I took mine differently from yours. Like, we started taking them together, and then you were you did something else, and while you did something, I just thought, well, okay, I'm just going to take mine, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm locked into it's the equivalent of 2.5 grams, so it's going to be just like it's just a mild, like, just want to test like the new strand. So I just took them all, and then you come back and you're like, whoa, I don't know what this is, but like, this is like, that's it, I'm already feeling it, and I'm already going. And I was starting that, I was already going too. And
so normally, like on that, we would have taken our dosages at the same time. We would just finish it off. We don't like play, like we just finish it off one time, in a matter of whatever, a minute or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was busy, so she ended up taking her whole thing, and I kept on doing what I was doing in preparation of the journey we was about to take.
Yeah.
But then, in the midst of me going and getting other things ready, I would just took like half, and then I was like, oh shit, well, nah, I'm all right. I'm already hidden. It's already taking me places, and I'm very cautious with it now, because even in that journey as well, there was one moment. It was literally a second that everything went wow, like color, visual, everything, like sound. It was like, it's that sound that you don't want to hear, and it's that sound that reminded me of the other journey, the saying 18 grams, but the other journey. So it was like, I was like, oh shit. So it was just like a reminder to me, like, yeah, fucker, don't forget. You know what I mean? Don't forget, you cool right here. So yeah, everything. Now, what we talking about? So yeah, I had visuals, body sensations. You know what I mean? Things going on in the room. So I mean visuals as far as things going on in the room and things going on, when I close my eyes. So it was both. Was it the best it's ever been? No, but for 1 gram, I was like, holy shit, yo, it really hit. It really hit. Now, I don't know if that effect happened because, like I said, things that I do, different energetic works that I do as well, you know what I mean? Just the energy. It must be all energetic. But I don't know, if y'all got Treasure Coast out there, you dealt with it, sampled it, let me know. Let me know what's your take on Treasure Coast as well. What about you?
Well, for me, so already I've taken the 25 or 24 wet weight grams, which is the equivalent of what I would consider a fairly mild, going off to a fairly mild journey. But the moment you came back in the room and said that you were feeling everything already, like, I was like, shit, I've eaten the whole of mine, like, what's gonna happen? And after that it's like, well, it happened. So I went off like really quickly after that, and I could feel that, okay, it's intense. It went from okay to intense. And already then I'm like, I feel like I'm going to a place where I'm like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I even doing this? Taking shrooms? Why did I do that? Because entering it in such an intense way, at that point anyway, it felt like an extremely lonely experience. And it's made me really wonder, like, you know, why tripping? Why doing this? And so when that's going on, I'm trying to tell myself, okay, I know that it feels like it's never going to end, but I know it's going to end. So I was hanging on to that because it felt, like I said, really lonely and really dark. And yeah, at that point, I was like, all I wanted to do was for everything to stop. I wanted to try to sleep it off, but it didn't happen. But eventually I was able to, like, because I was holding on to, no, I know it's going to be okay. I know it's going to get better. This is what I'm experiencing now. Maybe it's for me to realize something. And the moment I was able to tell myself that, then it just like switched to something incredibly, almost infinitely loving and beautiful. So I had lots of visuals, but awake visuals, not mind visuals so much. And some physical manifestations and sensations that were blissful. So in the end, it's like this journey started like really, really steep and really like quite scary and lonely. And then it bounced off to something else. And that was the part where I was, yeah, this is great. This is really great. Like I'm having, I really am having an incredible moment. So having said all of that, I don't think I want to go intense like that anymore. I don't want to have that like feeling of being propelled and so much and having to just wait for things to pass. That's not how I wish to go about it. So even though I didn't intend to go in such a deep journey because I thought it was going to be lighter based on the ratio, I now want to really approach it like way more gentle than this, because I really don't see the point of having to go through that intense experience of it like being so intense that I want it to stop before it gets better. I don't think there's a point doing that, because how many times is my shit going to be exposed? You know, there's stuff that I know already and I'm working on it. I don't wish to share it now because it's my shit that I'm dealing with. But yeah, that's what came out of that trip. I had, like I said, also amazing, like beautiful revelations. But it's like I knew these revelations already deep inside, so I didn't really need to go through that end of a journey just to realize that. So yeah, that was an enriching experience. Yeah, a learning curve.
100. On approach, it's going to approach. You're talking about like you were saying things that just made me the same shit I was saying in the 18-gram journey. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you think you want to go to some place until
You're there.
Until you're there, and you realize, what the fuck did I just do? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, imagine being in that dark place. Like, it's one thing just to be alone. Do you know what I mean? In this place, it's another thing to have a fucking war going on in your mind at the same time.
And to be lonely, alone and lonely is different.
And we're talking about this like, oh, I'm alone, but no, when you're in that space, it's like you can't soothe yourself. You can't use some intellectual shit to try to get out. Like no, your mind doesn't work the same way.
No,
like it's spazzing out. You can't say, oh yeah, come back, yeah, come down. No, like what you're seeing isn't. You're seeing some different stuff. You're hearing different things. Sometimes your hearing is not even working. Imagine if your hearing is not working and your vision is not working. Do you know what I mean? And these sensations and you know, it's a very different place. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very different place. A scary fucking place to be. You know, the approach on things. When I watch like the other day when I was watching some microdosing. Everybody talking to me about the microdosing, the benefits of microdosing, and you got all the scientists and the white coats and shit like that, and the Silicon Valley heads that, you know, these rich yuppie heads talking about microdosing, you know, which I find is funny. Not microdosing, but, you know, the people that are pushing it, you know, it's going to be a whole new agenda. It's a whole new agenda, but another thing. Where's it going with it?
Microdosing. So you were watching something on microdosing.
Yes, and the approach. As I was watching this stuff on microdosing, like, you know, so some of it was microdosing, some of it was just psilocybin for therapy, you know. So these doctors were having people come in and they put them on these high dosage. They call them high dosage. They're still talking about the 5 grams. They're like, but the 5 grams of psilocybin that we give them is a much stronger strain. It's almost 3 times stronger than what they would experience, you know, if they just get from their regular food supply, you know. But then they have them there sitting there. So keep in mind, they already said that this is way higher than the regular strain. So got them on 5 grams, and they're laying down in a chair like you would if you were
psychoanalysis or something.
Some psychoanalysis shit. You're laying down in the chair, it's all comfy chair. They put on blindfolds and they put on music, particular type of music, you know, and they switch it up and then they just track you and then you're just there. You're there, you're just in that fucking darkness. These are some people that never had any mushroom experience or psychedelic experience or like, you know, just regular, you know, square ass people. And I'm like, that is hell. That's like, yo, that's like putting yourself in a straitjacket, literally. Do you know what I mean? The approach that we have on these shrooms, I know I gotta change my approach. The approach that I was on was bullshit. Like feeling like, yeah, let me take these high dosages and just be here and zone off to myself and like, no, that's whack. That's fucking whack. I remember being there, and then after I was coming out of it, I was like, or maybe I did it there. I was like, are you having fun? I'm not having fun.
No,
this is not fun.
You were going in. You were not even coming out of it. You were going in and realizing that you were going in deeper. And I think from the beginning, you were already like, wow, okay, yeah. So that tells a lot about like the nature and the quality of that journey for you, because it was from early on. But then I guess it really does resemble my experience that just the other day, where it like just early on, it just hit me with that thing of like, okay, shit, like, this is intense. It's too much. It's too much.
I think I welcome the intensity because my life has just been intense. You know, I'm an intense person, and maybe I've just been groomed that way. So I felt, you know, I approached everything like that, and my approach to shrooms was intense as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You know, going through these things and like these different ways of holistic healing that we incorporate in our life, you know, all to heal, like, right, to heal. But if I'm honest, going through it, I've been going through a lot of the darkness for the last few years of my life, like really bringing it to surface. You know what I mean? Not through the usage of psilocybin, but, you know, through just my own self-evaluation and yogic processes that I deal with and mindset and things like this. So it's like a lot of the darknesses and the shadows that I once had, they're no longer there. So me to think that I need to approach psilocybin in that same intense way, like I need to heal from something, it just doesn't make fucking sense. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of the work for a good amount of years. You know what I'm saying? Over a decade, I've been teaching yoga and going in on the self and understanding these aspects of self. So for me, that journey doesn't need to look like that anymore with psilocybin. It needs to be more lighthearted. I need to change the way I approach it.
It's not like you need to find out what
I need
you're
to find
healing
out
from,
what I'm healing
right?
from.
You already know,
No.
and you've already like started your journey on that. And
So these are not supposed to be therapy sessions. Do you know what I mean? At all. Do you know what I mean? Because just the life that I live anyway, I'm under constant evaluation of self. Do you know what I mean? Life to live anyway, as far as, you know, yoga, holistic training, the way you're eating, you know, all this type of stuff. You know, the health coaching. You know, it's like that anyway. So shrooms is more. That's more my outlet. That's more my happy time, my fun exploration time. Not my fucking darkness, intensities. You know, deal with the fears that you never dealt with in your past life stuff and your childhood traumas. Nah. I've already dealt with all that shit. Do you know what I mean? So, no, it needs to be more light. I don't want to be just trapped into a corner,
trapped into
for
healing,
forever healing.
yeah.
You know, on psilocybin, wondering what's happening and who's coming out where, and you know, nah. I got some other stuff in the works. You know what I mean? Some different things to approach it with. You know, going more into the yoga on the psilocybin. You know, going into some of the full moon rituals and new moon rituals. You know, with psilocybin. You know, going into particular breath work to activate and enhance particular things as well.
You see, that's the thing that is possible with microdosing. Whereas if you take a dose that is too high, even with the best intention of being able to do those things, it's highly unlikely that you can, because all your senses and all like what makes sense of this reality like takes another form, another shape, another dimension. And so to be able to do those things with the psilocybin experience, it needs to be a much lower dose.
Yeah.
And so that in itself becomes like a, you know, like a more likely enjoyable experience, because you can enhance an experience of doing something under a gentle influence rather than the influence taking over everything and disabling you to have any kind of relatable experience. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, like finding your healing or anything like that is not to be considered, but I don't think like going on a journey is always, it's not always about that. It can't always be about that, and it's got to be lighter.
Yeah. It has to be lighter.
Yeah, it has to be lighter, because, you know,
don't underestimate these shrooms at all. You know what I mean? Definitely have to have the utmost respect for them, and it's better instead of taking on. We're forever changing. You know what I mean? Who you were yesterday isn't who you are today. You know, so how you dealt with the psilocybin on one particular journey. You know, whether it's, you know, 2 weeks ago or 2 months or 2 years ago, it's not how you're gonna deal with it now. Same dosage. You know, could be even same strain, but it's just different. Like these things are alien. Like we really don't know. You know, so you always have to approach it with lightness, with caution. Do you know what I mean? Let me use that word. Approach it with caution.
Caution is a very important word. I feel you.
You know, so instead of, now if you build yourself up, okay, cool. Not that is the aim, or that should be the aim, to let me keep on taking more. Like, you know,
no.
Every time you go in and you come out, like you should ask yourself, like, what did I get from that, or why am I doing this, or, you know, or how was that, or whatever the case. You know, you shouldn't just be aimlessly like just chasing numbers and just to have more shots, like it's like you're at a bar or something. You know what I mean? No, but always start on a lower dosage, even lower than what you did last time. Do you know? And based on how you feel then step it up. Always start low. Do you know what I mean? If you have access to them right there, it doesn't mean, you know, they're already there. That doesn't mean you have to take them all at one time. You know, you can just say, yeah, well, okay, I took 8 grams last time. That doesn't mean I'm just going to pop 8 right now. Like, nah, you could cut that in half. Yeah, I'm just going to take 4. I'm going to take 4 right now, you know, wait an hour and a half, see how I feel right there. If, you know, sometimes that 4 may hit you like that 8.
Exactly. That's what you don't know. That's why you need to be cautious. Because who would have thought that a big man like you would be so sensitive to the, well, to what's supposed to be the equivalent of 1 gram. You know, how does that work? You know?
Yeah.
So like we said, like we discussed this a lot, and you know, of course we don't know.
I don't know, but I think I did break through a barrier.
Yeah,
I broke through a particular barrier,
think
and like
you did.
now it's just open. So it's like now it's like
So now you found a shortcut. It's like you just.
it's just with some psilocybin in me. I think it's just an activation now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So.
And I'm wondering if it's kind of like that for me too. The way I went, like I was propelled, like I rocketed, you know. And so I'm wondering exactly the same thing. But I still want to say though that after this experience, I'm gonna give thanks infinitely for this experience, because it also showed me like so much love, and you know, and that cannot be taken away or overshadowed by the initial entry.
Right.
And since then, so it's only been like what, a few days ago, 2, 3, 4 days ago, I've just been feeling great since, like really great. So I can only be grateful for that, you know. And maybe I'm feeling great because while I was experiencing that, I was already, no, like I'm not doing this like this again. So maybe I empowered myself by like, okay, I've seen this, I'm living it right now. I know it's gonna pass. It's hard to believe, but I know it will, and I will not do it like that again. And so just that alone probably helped me to like shift everything to go to a place where I'd rather be. And it was incredible. So I don't want you lot to think that, like, you know, that whole experience was overshadowed by anything. It exposed things, and it taught me that that's not how I wish to enter. That's my lesson.
You know, we are explorers. Do you know what I mean? And every time we go on another expedition, you know, we collect data. You know, we take time and we go through what it is that we collected. So it is, even through psilocybin, it is a constant, it keeps me in a place of reflection, really and truly. I'm naturally like that. Do you know what I mean? It keeps me in a place of reflection. But you know what? Like a lot of the benefits and stuff that they've been talking about with psilocybin and the dosing and all that, you know, from new parts of the brain or parts of the brain that haven't been activated or before, you know, it reaching that area and integrating and, you know, making it more whole. It's whole, because you would think that, it's my brain. I should be able to use all of it anyway. So why is it just this particular, you know, alien food, you know, that is, when I consume this, it's causing me to activate other areas. So I wasn't even focused on any of those things, like in my journeys. These are just like new studies that have been coming out in the last few months and whatever the case. But it just makes me think about like, damn, all those journeys that we've done, you know, and going on journeys it shouldn't be a one-time thing. Don't think that you just, I'm going to take it one time and boom, my life is going to change. That's it. Like, nah, you got to be committed to it. You know, whether you do it, you know, once a month, once every few months, whatever the case, you have to have more than one journey in, like, to really allow things to start coming to the surface. So all those journeys that we've been going through, all those deep journeys that we've been going into, of course, have been having an effect on our brain, effect on our self altogether in its totality. It's definitely making me, if I wasn't already, more sensitive to just the shifts in my own energy, you know, and being more aware of energy around me as well. Do you know, I pick up on those things quicker now, and yeah, definitely more sensitive to it. So I like to stay to myself. I love to stay to myself. I prefer to stay to myself over you know, company that's just on an energetic low, you know, or just off, really. You know what I mean? So majority of the time, like, to myself, or it's just me and her, me and the children. It's a small circle small circle that I keep. You know, and I love it. I do love it. I love spending time by myself. Do you know what I mean? I love exploring myself. So it's not like I take journeys or anything like that to get away. No, I really love self. But you know, I love the exploration as well. Do you know what I mean? I want to go into dried and wet weight. Real quick again. Yo, we were talking about the whole 10-to-1, you know, 10 grams of wet weight. Wet weight is equal to 1 gram of dried, right? Of dried weight. You got to do your own experiments. You got to find out. Don't use that shit. You know what I mean? Find out your own thing. Because no matter what, I feel that wet weight is more potent. Period. It's more potent. You're not gonna fool me thinking like trying to have me think that dry weight is something dried. You know what I mean? That you're extracting the water out of it is gonna be more potent. No. You know, I'm holistic with it. So wet weight. Let's start to deal with more wet weight. If you can get wet weight, deal with it wet, and come up with your own guidelines on that. You know, a lot of the stuff we follow, we got to just formulate our own through experiences, through journeys, you know, documenting these things and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's what needs to happen. Yeah, just to be, not to be sure, because you're never sure, but don't just blindly take for granted some information that you've read doing some research, because it might just be a general guideline and not an exact science.
You know, there's more to it than just taking shrooms. There's more to it than just taking shrooms. Like, you think like you're gonna just pop the shroom and it's like your magic pill that's gonna take away, you know, everything that's wrong in your life, right? Nah.
If anything, it's going to expose.
It's gonna expose everything. You know, when I meet with people and like we having these sessions, you know, coaching sessions, right? For their journey that they're gonna take. It's not just about here. Yeah, well, you know, make sure there's no lights on and good music when you take the shrooms. Like, no, like, going deep. Like, that's just the surface and what you think. You know, when you're sitting down with someone and you're having a one-to-one and you're like just being real, just talking and like, okay, well, like, why do you want to go in? What do you think these things are gonna do for you? Oh yeah, well, I'm angry. I'm upset. I hate myself. You know, how do you think that's going to change it? You know what I mean? You think just popping the shroom is going to change it? Like, we have to get to the root cause of this. Like, why are you upset with yourself? You know what I mean? We start to go into that person's life, explore a little more. You know, see what they do on a regular day to day. You know, that has them feeling the way that they're feeling. Do they hate the life that they live? If they hate the life that they live because of the work that they do, or you know, the prior commitments that they've made that they still feel bound to, do you know what I mean? And they're hating themselves for that. You got to get to the bottom of that. You know, the shrooms aren't just gonna just reveal all that for you. No, we got to put that in work. You know, find out what your passions are, what your interests are. You know, are you operating around those things, or your life just full of things that bring you no joy? Do you know what I'm saying? So those things are going to be most important to replace, and that's going to take time. You're going to have to build yourself up. So it's not just a simple, let me just take a journey and just go in. Like, no, like while taking the dosage of the micro dosage, you know what I mean? But just changing your life, your day to day, like what your routines look like. Do you know what I mean? Making those adjustments over time. That's going to bring you the happiness that you're really seeking. Do you know what I mean? Ultimately. So we're still getting into self. You know, psilocybin is another tool to utilize but you still have to do the work. You understand? It's like a hammer. The hammer's not going to build its house for itself. You still have to have that intelligence to know how to go about it. But the hammer is going to assist you in that building process, right? Or destruction process, whatever you need. You know what I mean? But there's more things to it. If you're coming on this journey and you're thinking about healing, then you got to look at what you do. You got to start to apply more healing in other aspects of your life. Don't rely on this. You know, what's your day-to-day activities? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? How are you moving? How are your relations around you? Do you know what I mean? How is your relations with self? Are you giving time to self? Majority of us get locked into these roles of life. Do you know what I mean? I'm a mother, I'm a lawyer, I'm a bus driver, whatever it is, and I have to do this, and you just become your responsibilities. Do you know what I mean? So of course life is gonna suck if you think that all you are your responsibilities. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think there's enough touching on the work that goes in, the foundation that needs to be laid. It doesn't have to be laid beforehand. If you are related, then great. But if you're going to come on this psilocybin journey, then yeah, you definitely need to lay that foundation. Do you know what I mean? Looking at your health and wellness, it's overall, So I'm speaking to the ones who know. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those people that just fucking popping them just to pop them. You're just looking for a good time while another thing to go into while you're having a break from your lines or your fucking heroin or other crazy stuff. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about, those heads that are exploring and looking for health and wellness and just seeking out more, seeking out getting outside of this matrix. Not just looking for a destructive, so-called fun time. You know what I mean? Because psilocybin isn't anything to play with at all. Do you know what I mean? You can destroy yourself with it. There was a quote that someone had said, I forgot who it was. It was like, it says something like mushrooms won't kill me. Like the magic mushrooms won't kill me. It's what my mind will do will kill me. It was something like that. But it's like, you can have tons of mushrooms. Yeah, tons. Like, are you in an overdose or anything like that? Like nah, there hasn't been any reports of it. So you could just go crazy just having, just consuming. But it's the mind. Do you know what I mean? Will you be strong enough when you're in that place with all that psilocybin in you to control your mind? Because when your mind starts to go, everything is gone. There is no making sense of what you're actually doing. All concepts are gone. You could get to a place where you're not even sure. You think that you're on the first floor, but you're actually on the third floor, and you jump out the window. Someone's chasing you. Like, all these are very possible if you're on, a dose that you can't handle or your mind can't handle it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the things that keep you safe and that you have learned in this reality here, do you know what I mean? When you get on very, very high dosages, you lose that. You lose all that sense of, okay, no, this is safe. No, if I do this, I'll hurt myself. If I go here, I have to watch out for this. No, you lose all that sense. So, yeah, it's no joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for real.
How we feeling?
Yeah,
We think we good?
I think we're great. I think we've explored or shared enough of that last journey. Yeah, I'm happy with what I shared. I feel I shared enough.
All right. Yeah, I'm cool with it as well. If there's other things you want us to touch on, let me know. Other videos you want to see, yeah, let me know. I'm open. No, don't be a stranger with it. Just go ahead and leave some comments. Share your thoughts as well. We're all growing and building. Link me on Instagram as well. Find me there. Link's gonna be there. I'm open. Let's go ahead. Let's build. All right.